Hi there, Scott.
Yeah.
Hey there, Sean. How are you, buddy?
Hey, fellas, what's going on?
All right. Not a lot, not a lot. Once again, this is normally Steve's webinar. He is in kicking back in Cabo, and we got a little treat for you today because Sean's gonna come in here in a segment we have this afternoon and talk about how to use Holly for swing trading. This is going to be a nice treat for you guys. So hang on. That's going to be coming in the second half hour. I'm going to kind of walk you through the first market recap and talk a little bit about Holly. But before we do, let's take care of our legalese and disclaimer here. Once again, guys, remember this is for educational purposes only. Sean and I are going to be talking about some setups and some little configurations and possible, stocks that looked like good, but do not, please, whatever you do not construe this as investment advice. That's not what our purpose is. If that's what you're looking for, please search for like a RIA, a registered broker, or something like that, somebody that hangs their license. All right, so let's get along and talk about your not along with trade ideas. All right, and you're not along with trade ideas. We pride ourselves on bringing expert education, training to you guys throughout the week, and we just keep adding more and more. Let's start with what we're seeing right here. We got the traders room. I know we got over 500 traders in there. There's some really good traders. It's a great place to see the product. You do not have to be a subscriber to go there and hang out with the rest of the traders. You'll get to watch our product live in action and listen to Barry as the incredible moderator who also trades and navigates the market using our software. So great place to be. You need to get in there and learn a lot more, not only about trade ideas, but about trading as well. And then throughout the week, guys, we have webinars Monday through Thursday in the 5 Eastern time slot. It's usually a combination of myself, Steve, and Jamie. But we do throw a little treat for you on Wednesdays, and when we bring Dan Merkin and Brad Williams in for a QA/demo. Great place to come and ask questions and see what's coming down the pike. And let's not forget our Friday support session. This is a 3-hour event that starts at 11 Eastern time. This is a place to come, and if you have any questions that were not answered during the week, come to that Friday support session and you can have them answered. And we give you a visual. Not only do we talk about your questions and answer them verbally, we also give you a visual on the screen using our software. And let's talk about TI University that we have Monday through Thursday. I don't have a slide in this deck for you, but I don't need one because it's right there for you. It's Monday through Thursday at 12 Eastern time. And what we have is we start with class 101 and we run all the way through 401. 6 hours worth of content, guys. And boy, if you, even if you've been here for a month or two and you just feel like you're still not getting the swing of it, check it out, man. Sign up for that TI University. You will learn a lot, I can promise you that. All right, this is a slide that Steve has had up for a long time. Man and machine combined, that's what we talk about here, and that's kind of what Sean's going to be showing you this afternoon. You're talking about how a man can take the data he's getting from the artificial intelligence Holly and applying it to swing strategies. So there's another fine example of man and machine combined. And Paul Tudor Jones says there's no man is better than a machine and no machine is better than a man or a human with a machine. So it's great words of wisdom there. All right, this is going to be our agenda today. It's kind of a short agenda, only because we do want to focus on Sean's little treat he's bringing to the table on how to use Holly for swing trading. You got to snicker at that treat, huh? Bringing a nice big cake to the table, aren't you? All right, we'll also go over the TOW, the NYT, that Sean kind of got from the what do you call it? The Holly
The Holly Hunt List.
Hot list. There you go. Gosh, I knew it was hot something. But all right, so let's back out of this. Let's pull up the market for today, and by doing that, I'm going to pull up first the spiders, and we always kind of start with the spiders because it is an index that comprises of 500 stocks and probably the best weighted index out there. It's what all the hedge funds and mutual funds are compared against. So we will use this as kind of our market barometer and seeing what we're looking here. And today, once again, we tried another little gap up. We've been gapping up a lot, it seems like, in the market. You can see here in the 15-minute chart, this one couldn't hold. It kept trying all day, just slowly, just kind of meandering back and forth until the last hour and a half, and then we saw some pretty decent selling in here. And if you look back at the daily, you can see what happened. It came right down, got close to the 10-period moving average, and that's in the little closing minutes there, what's kind of saved us there. So I'm still kind of, guys, you've kind of heard me kind of leaning toward, I'm not liking, a lot of the things that I'm seeing here where a lot of breakouts are not working. I mentioned that obviously everything lines up as far as being favorable to the bullish side. I mean, we still are above moving averages, kind of going sideways here after about 5 days worth of lift. There's nothing that would make me real bearish about this chart at all, but I'm just not seeing really any enthusiasm, and especially after the IWM, which I've kind of mentioned is rare that you see this sector kind of lead the charge. It's usually one that's kind of bringing up the rear. But nonetheless, watching the Qs and the spiders after this IWM, broke out to an all-time high and was looking beautiful there on the chart, and still was trying to go even as the other averages were, kind of just sloshing around in no man's land. But today, it did. It kind of actually one of the ones that started rolling over earlier. You'll see it's down, I think, the most on the day. Not much, still below but you got what some people will consider definitely a dark cloud cover, if you will. A bearish engulfing candle, made another term for that. So you got to keep your eye on that anytime it happens, because that can lead to some sometimes the top of a movement for a while. So we'll see what happens. And the Qs are probably looking a little bit weakish of them all. You can see they are not holding the 10-period moving average. But once again, it's still, we're still seeing, look at the volume in the Qs today, it's just doing like half its normal volume almost. And so, I know Sean's.
I was just gonna say, speaking of the volume, as you were cycling through those charts at the QQQ and the IWM on those daily charts, look at the last 3 days. The volume is just consistently declining. Pull that IWM back up again. Today was an ugly red candle, but look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, that volume is just declining.
Yeah.
So I'm not so concerned about the pullback today, but
no, not a minute. My theory on this is let me tell you guys where I'm coming from. Okay, I'm coming from more of a kind of a long-term investor where we've had an incredible 9-year run in the market, and all I would say is this is not my best risk-reward scenario for a bullish move higher. So I am more of a cautious, guy. I'm not going to say, we're going down. No, the chart's not telling me that. But I'm just not seeing really any enthusiasm either way. It just feels like we could channel for a long time, and I just want you to be prepared for that, because that can mean some really hectic trading for any time frame when you get into a sloppy range, and we'll see what happens. I mean, the spies are still, but I could see us dropping right back down into this wedge. I hope that's not the case. I would rather see us, one way or the other. And honestly, I don't care. I'd probably rather see go to the downside, because I know that sets up a lot better for traders going forward. Because I'm afraid a move higher would be just kind of slow melt up again. But anyway. Swing traders don't care. They still get paid on melt ups, don't they, Sean?
just give us some movement. That's all we care.
That's right. Yeah, that's it. Sean is right. Give you some movement. You don't want a stagnant market. That could be more frustrating than anything. But Sean, yes, I always value your opinion, and I will agree with you. There's not a lot of things that look bearish about this chart. So I just kind of um, want to. You think we're just kind of resting here and maybe put on maybe a salt for an all-time high a few months down the road or something? Yeah.
In my opinion, and my opinion is worth the paper it's printed on, which is nothing. But my opinion here is the SPY is much more likely to make a new high than it is to break those February lows.
Sure.
And I think IWM is the leading indicator there.
Okay.
As long as IWM, I mean, yes, IWM had a red ugly candle today, but it's still at the end of the day, it's still printed at an all-time high today. So
Right.
as far as that's happening, that's still bullish in my book until otherwise
Yeah.
noted.
No, I agree with you. I agree with everything you said, except maybe the part where we take out all-time highs before the February low. That may be where we disagree, but you know what?
Oh yeah,
That's
okay.
what makes the market. That's what makes the market.
That's what makes the market.
That's right. All right, that's enough of that. Luckily, Sean and I, we don't gamble too much on what's going to happen in the future. We're more of following the price action versus trying to guess what the price action is going to be. So.
That's right.
That's right. So all right, so let's dive into Holly here today. Now, I mean, considering the market and just looking at the SPYs here and what we've seen, the intraday action lately hasn't been all that favorable for any day trader or for that matter, an algorithmic trader, because you're looking for some sort of follow through in one's direction. Thus today was why you see Holly came to the playground with 3 shorts and 3 longs. Seldom does she have this few strategies make the cut. For those of you guys who are new, what does make the cut mean? Holly is equipped with about 45 strategies. At the end of each close and then well into the night, she takes all these strategies and back tests them and optimizes them over and over again through thousands of scenarios until she finds ones that have a certain winning percentage and a certain profit factor, and they make the kind of starting lineup for the next day. Well, they're the only ones on the court actually, but so out of 45 of them, only 6 of them made the cut, and half were long and half were short. That just kind of tells you there's kind of a lot of indecision, even when you have this very sophisticated backtester and optimizer that can take all these strategies. And she came out with an even number and very few, which just kind of tells me there's a lot of indecision, in the statistical model. So, and you're seeing it reflected in the price action today. Today a lot of, like I said, back and forth. She tried some longs, she tried some shorts. All in all, I was surprised that on risk on, she finished up 106. There was a couple of really good opportunities out there. And
quite a comeback. I think Rev was the one that really drove. Rev and IQ, actually, those two were big contributors in the afternoon.
Absolutely. And we'll talk about a couple of them because these are the kind that I like. And you guys heard me said, no pain trade. Well, this is one, that triggered, and you can see here on the 15-minute chart. Okay, it broke out. It looks like it took out the previous day's high right there. So you kind of had a flag pattern right here, and then you had a break and a trigger, and no looking back, no pain. Beautiful. And look how it rode that 10-period moving average, and it just closed every bar. It tried to come down, boom, look at that catapult right there. That is a beautiful trade. That's when you look over and you see Holly gets out for a timed exit right here. But everything's still lining up, even though the market wasn't really, blasting higher. It wasn't, crashing at the time either. So this is where, you either stay with the trade or maybe you sell half, because remember, she's getting out not because the stock is, backing up, pulling back. She just timed exit. That's how it's optimized. So you, as man with machine, may take over as the machine gets out and say, okay, I'll drive from here. And as long as remember how I told you guys the other day, if you find something technical to get you out of a trade versus just using your gut feeling and your instincts, you will learn to hold on to trades longer. So, hold on, a gnat just flew in my mouth. Never
Wow.
had that happen. Yeah.
Well, Andy, while you're clearing that knot, I would like to fill in, of the 5 reasons that Holly gets out of a trade, easily my least favorite one is the time to exit. I understand the reason for it, and it certainly serves value. But for me, if I'm looking at a time to exit as that's the reason to get out of the trade, before I would pull the trigger to exit that trade, I'm going to take a quick glance at the risk on versus risk off profit chart. And if risk on is outperforming, which it was this afternoon, that tells me we're being paid to hold our winners. And in most cases, I would ignore that timed exit and maybe tighten up my stop a little.
There you
but
go.
Try to let that thing ride a little more.
Very good, Sean. And you're right. The timed exit is really a really good time to do that. Really, the only time I would even consider it is timed exit and profit save. Because remember, profit save, you're having a pullback in the stock, and Holly's getting out because she has reached a certain amount of profit, and she is programmed, if she gives back a percentage of that profit, to go ahead and get out for profit save. Let's take an example. I mean, this one, once again, guys, you're just riding that 10-period moving average. But let's get one for profit save, and this may be an example right here. DOVA. All right, so Holly enters the trade right here on the 15-minute chart. Excuse me, and really it just slops sideways forever. Now, yeah, this would be, honestly, I would have a tough one holding on to this as well. I mean, because you like to see some sort of a movement. You got a little bit of one up here and then pulled back, but you have to be really patient to just sit in this, for a longer period of time. Now, she did get out for a scratch. Maybe you could have held on longer than a flat for sure. I mean, I'm not the kind that just gets out just because I'm flat. I at least give myself maybe a dime or something. But nonetheless, a profit save is a reason a lot of times where I might hold on to a trade longer. Now, float on got out for a profit save, which was right here. You can see the sell mark. You did have obviously a little extra meat on that bone, but then of course at the close when the market was coming down, this also came down as well. So other than that, I mean, it was a tough day, and it has been. Holly, Jamie showed you yesterday the history over the last, I guess, month and a half for Holly, and you could see that she had been done just incredibly well. But the last 4 or 5 days, not so much, and I think it's because we have a lot of indecision in the market as far as direction goes. We've had a decent move up here, and now it's just been a lot of slop back and forth. It seems like, if we don't have to have a lot of movement. So in other words, I think Jamie showed you back over here, like these bars. Let me do this better, because it's important for you guys to imprint this, because like when you get action like this, but when you're slightly moving up, Holly, we notice, here's a great example. Holly performs well because you have, even though the market's not really moving anywhere fast, you still have a kind of similar direction versus kind of what you're seeing right here, where you get a lot of pullback, gaps down. It's just a lot of noise right there, and I think that's what gets Holly a lot of times.
I think you hit it on the head right there. Just a lot of noise in the last couple of weeks.
It really has been. So, risk off, down 30 cents, nothing major. Risk on 106, and Sean was right. It was mostly because of kind of the IQ there. And, a lot of people say it only takes one trade, and that's a great example of.
That's right.
And man with the machine. Okay, if you're going to look to pick out one trade, look at this beautiful. Like I said, it's a flag pattern. You had a market, stock that's kind of gone up, and it's just been kind of slopping back, in a nice little. I'm not going to draw it for you, but you can see the kind of the flag pattern there, and then you had a nice little reversal on some decent volume. So, nice setup there. Well, all right, Sean, I know, let's see, I think that's all I was going to do today. And Sean is going to show you guys the Holly Hot List and how he finds swing trades. And he's had some good ones. Well, first he's going to go over NYT, which he found on there.
Yeah,
And even though it had a bad day today, Sean, it held, held some averages and can't give up on that.
that's right. Well, I'm going to take the screen from you here,
Okay.
Andy.
All righty.
Let me know if you're seeing my screen, if it looks good.
I see it.
Okay, and by the way, for those of you who are sending in questions to us, mostly so far it's mostly been comments, and that's great. Thank you. But just be aware, for some strange reason, we're not seeing your names. So if you're sending in multiple questions or follow-up questions, we might not know who you are. That might make it a little challenging on our side, but just want to throw that out there. I don't know why that's happening. I've never seen that before, Andy. Have you?
No, I think it's some sort of registration glitch in our, on our end. But don't worry, I know Scott will get that fixed.
All right, so everybody, you're looking at my desktop now. This is a desktop that I have created for myself to monitor Holly trades. And what we're going to talk about here is using Holly for swing trading purposes. As you know, and as we just discussed while watching Andy show his stuff, Holly is currently constructed as an intraday trading tool. She never holds any trades overnight, but we have been watching Holly for a long time now, and Andy and myself and Jamie and Steve and Dan and everybody who watches this stuff closely, we've just kind of been blown away by, wow, the signals that Holly gives if you're a swing trader have been, some of them have been fantastic, and I'll certainly show you some cherry-picked examples of that as we go on. But before we talk too much about the Holly Hot List, let's talk about this week's trade of the week, which was New York Times. I picked the New York Times trade of the week for Steve. Usually Steve handles that, as you all know, but Steve's on vacation. Last I saw, he sent me a picture of his feet in the sand.
Yeah, I got that same one.
So I took over duties for him this weekend, and when I was looking through the Holly list, just looking through the trades that I watch, New York Times really caught my attention. This is a trade that Holly has been in since January. You can see on my chart here, I got it kind of annotated. Maybe if I stretch this chart out a little bit, you can see that a little better. There we go.
There you go.
Back in January, we got in right with that arrow points. We had a fantastic run for about 6 weeks or so, and then we've been kind of channeling it back. Well, yesterday, or I'm sorry, Friday, it looked like the stock was really showing signs that it wanted to come back. Volume was coming back in. I was very bullish on this trade, on this resuming its former leadership back to all-time highs. Today threw us a bit of a wrinkle like the entire market did, but I'll take some quiet solace in knowing that volume was very anemic today, as it was throughout the marketplace. But the New York Times, I picked it solely because it's been a leader. I like the characteristics. It had a very good risk reward from my point of view. I feel like if this sell-off today proves to be temporary, which I think it might be, I think it's got a really good shot of challenging these all-time highs set back in February, and could catapult another $3 or $4 from there. Meanwhile, we got a really good safe place to set a stop loss right down here around 2.25 or so. If we break these levels, that's pretty good confirmation to me that the momentum is broken and it's not going higher anytime soon. So that is this week's trade of the week. If anyone has any specific questions on that, I'm certainly happy to entertain those and talk you through. But what we really wanted to talk about here in the next 15 minutes or so is how traders can use Holly for swing trading. Now, you'll notice here, I've got the Holly closed trades window open here today. These are all the trades that she did today. Now, I make it a best practice myself to every day when the market's closed, I go through every trade that Holly did. And now this is just my perspective, my point of view. This is how I manage the Holly Hot List portfolio. Is I'm only looking for long swing trades. I'm not looking for short swing trades. There are different schools of thought on shorting stocks. I'm certainly a big fan of shorting stocks, but I like to short stocks more from a day trade perspective, on intraday swing trades or intraday trades. I just feel like making money on the short side in swing trades, it's just it's harder. It certainly can be rewarding if you catch the right trade. You know, I took a nice ride in Bear Stearns once. I'm sure you guys all remember that on the short side. But
oh yeah.
But for every one of those, I've got 10 other heartbreaking stories. Trying to hold a short trade for a long time. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah, it's a different rack.
I love shorting stocks intraday for sure, but swing trades not so much. So I tend to look at long trades for swing trades. So my first step that I do every day is I look at Holly's trades, and then I'll set a little filter here. You notice here there's a little filter window. Right now it says none, but I could go in here and select all long strategies. So now it's only going to show me all the long trades that she got into today. Now, this is looking at today, and I do this every day, but I also, sometimes what I like to do is when I'm picking stocks, especially for the Holly hot list, I don't just look at the most recent day. I will actually cycle through a week's worth of trades. And so you can view Holly history. I don't know if everyone's aware of this, but if you right click anywhere in this window and go to history, you could do today, you could look at yesterday's trades, or you could choose your time frame. So I go to choose the time frame, and I will often go back 1 week. So today is Monday, or today is the 22nd. So a week from today was Tuesday the 15th. I'll go ahead and check that. And now I will have all trades. Looks like I need to select all trades. There we go, long strategy. So now I'm only seeing long trades. And then the other thing I do is I like to sort these by price. So if I click on the last price column here, column header, highest to lowest. I do this because for the Holly hot list, I want to make these trades favorable for players of any size, not just retail day traders, but I want institutional players to be able to play these. So we're looking at stocks that have at least a minimum price of $10. So looks like this IMGN would be my cheapest stock. And then I have a couple other parameters I look for. In my single stock window here, two data points I pay very close attention to is market cap and average daily volume. Again, I want this to be a trade that's accessible to any player of any size. And so at a bare minimum, sometimes I'll fudge it, but at a bare minimum, I like to look at market caps at least 600 million market cap. And I want to see average daily volume of at least 500,000 shares. There's no real magic in those numbers. It's just, I find that when you get below those numbers, you get to stocks that don't have a whole lot of activity, tend to be very illiquid. So I tend to stay away from those. So now I've got my list. I've got a week's worth of long Holly trades here, and starting with the $10 stock, and I won't bore you with going through every one, but all I simply do is I just start toggling through charts. I start climbing up my list here and looking at the daily charts that I have listed up here. And just like a beautiful man or a beautiful woman, everyone's got their own interpretation of what a beautiful chart is, right? For me, I tend to like stocks. I'm a momentum player, so I tend to like to buy stocks that are up at or near 52-week highs. So a stock like this, well, this was a stock that had a weird news break, and this was a wild stock, so maybe not the best example. But as I cycle through these here, here's one. Now here's a stock that looks like it's making a new 52-week high or near it. Certainly a stock that I will put on my list. Doesn't mean I'm going to trade it. Doesn't mean I'm going to add this to the Holly hot list, but it deems it warrants further investigation. So I got a little notepad right here. I'll write down TNDM, and I will do this as I cycle through the list. And I'll probably, once I get through all the names in the list, I'll probably have, I've had as many as 12 names that are interesting, and sometimes only just a handful. But I'll cycle through these charts, and once I find the charts that look interesting, then it's on to the next step. And for me, that next step is, as I said before, looking at the market caps, looking at the average daily volume, and then unfortunately we don't have, we only have daily charts on trade ideas, but I like to get a little bit more history, a little bit more context. when I'm selecting these trades. So I will go to my trading platform where I have additional charting, and I will do some longer, maybe some monthly charts or some weekly charts, just to get as much time frame as I can. Obviously, my preference is for stocks that are up near all-time highs. I'm a momentum buyer, but certainly at a bare minimum, I want to be near 52-week highs. And now, and maybe I jumped ahead here. Maybe I should have taken a step back before diving into this process a little bit. One of the reasons why we find that using Holly as a source for building a watch list for actionable swing trades is because Holly, in identifying a trade, and again, she's looking for an intraday trade, but in her process of identifying that trade, she discovered or uncovered a catalyst that caught her attention. There's a catalyst that's present in the market that she sees it as a driver. That catalyst could be an explosion of volume. It could be crossing a key moving average. It could be bouncing off support. It could be insider trading activity. I don't know. I mean, there's lots of different things that could catch her eye. But the point is, whatever that catalyst was that she identified, that catalyst doesn't just expire at 4 p.m. Eastern when the market closes. That's just an artificial constraint that we at Trade Ideas have placed on the system because it's currently geared towards intraday trades, and she does not hold any trades overnight. But what we have found, Andy, Jamie, Steve, myself, Dan, we're watching these past trades that Holly gets into, and when you look at them on a daily chart, you start to see some fantastic entries. Now, look, I'm going to totally cherry pick one here for you, but I love bringing this one up. This Riot stock, a stock that not many people had heard of before this crazy move that happened end of last year. But if I zoom in here, you'll notice Holly got involved 3 different times. If you look on any daily chart on Trade Ideas, you will see a buy or sell arrows occasionally, not on every stock, but only on stocks that Holly participated in. And these actually show where Holly got in. If you hover your mouse over, it'll tell you on November 7th, for example, she got in this trade at 7.85 and it closed it at 8.30. Again, intraday trade. These were all intraday trades. But me, as a swing trader, or you as a swing trader, you could have perhaps seen this entry come in on November 17th. She bought it at $8.08, and she scratched it. No big deal. This was on November 17th. Well, you could have been doing your review at the end of the day, markets closed, and you would have seen that Holly got into this trade. And if it looked interesting to you from a swing trading perspective, you could have got involved on the next trading day at the open. And that's how I do the Holly hot list. We always enter our trades on the next trading day at the opening tick. And look at that. On the very next opening day, next day open, you could have bought the stock. It looked like the opening print was 846, which was pretty much the low of the day. And if you would have bought that at 856 or very close, or 850, let's say, just like Andy mentioned earlier, there was a no heat trade. This trade, you didn't see any heat while it soared almost 2x for you. It was you got it at 850, and this thing traded up to $24 in 4 trading days. That's a triple on your money. Now, you would have to be one of the world's best traders to have top ticked this thing and gotten out at the top. We certainly don't expect you to have done that. But even if you held through this probably gut-wrenching pullback, even at its lowest point here, you're still sitting on a healthy, 40% gain right there? Worst case scenario. And if you got out at anywhere at this level here, you made great money. And if for some reason you held on, kudos to you. But then you had a second opportunity just several days later. Sorry for that beeping in the background. I don't know what that is. Just a few days later, you had another entry. Holly on December 7th got in for an intraday trade, but that was on the 7th. If I could have seen that in my market review at the end of the day, I could have put an order in to buy the next day at the 8th at the open. Could have got it at around 1460, it looks like was the opening price. And once again, 3 days of zero heat. Thing went up. What was that? That's a double in 3 days. And if you held on through this little move, then you had another triple. So again, This is a totally cherry-picked example, please. Folks, this is not normal. You're not going to get doubles and triples in several trading days. That's not the point. That's not what I'm trying to convey here. But the point is the catalysts that Holly's identifying tend to be catalysts that can last and can push a stock for several days, and if you're lucky, several weeks. They're not just only good for day trades. So that's why we use, and that's why I've decided to use Holly as my chief identifier of potential swing trades. It's a fantastic list to start going through. I mean, we got, on this list here, I've got something like, I haven't counted, but I'm going to say there's about 50 trades in here, of which that's a manageable watch list to spend 20 minutes cycling through, looking at charts. And if you come away with one or two charts that look great, that look compelling to you from a swing trading perspective, you can have that confidence knowing that while there's certainly no guarantees in life or in trading, you've got a little bit of extra juice knowing that Holly has uncovered something here. There's something present in the market that just may give you that little extra added edge. It's going to give you some profits, and it's a repeatable process that over time, those edges compound in your favor. Okay, so I just riffed there. I noticed there were a couple questions came in, Andy. I don't know if there was anything here I needed to address.
I don't think there's anything you need to address. Somebody was just noticing the charts, and so let me ask you this. So you're going through, you find a nice looking setup there with the Holly buy signal, and it meets all your likings of a nice chart. At what point will it get added to the Holly hot list?
Okay, so the way my process goes is for the Holly hot list specifically, we're adding typically 2 names a week. I try to add them on Tuesday mornings and Thursday mornings. That's kind of the process. There's no magic to those days. That's just the way I like to do it. Tuesdays and Thursday morning.
Sure.
So on Monday night and Wednesday night, I'm going through this process. I'm going through this list and looking at charts that I find interesting, and I'm picking the one that just looks most compelling. I mean, at the end of the day, as you were mentioning before, it's man plus machine, right? I'm using the machine to serve up the best ideas, and then it's up to me to decide amongst those best ideas which one looks most appealing to me, right? So machine plus man, we're both having a hand in it. It's a manual process in that regard, and then once that trade is identified, we will add it on at the open of the next trading day. I'm not so concerned about. And I get this question a lot because I'll tweet out the previous day, hey, we're going to get into ticker USAT tomorrow, and then inevitably I'll get somebody saying, well, what if somebody front runs you, or what if the thing runs up, or what if the thing falls down 2% today, or whatever. And I'm not so concerned about that because as a swing trader, we're not scalping. Right. We're not worried about nickels and dimes. We're playing for dollars, right? So exactly. Whether I get in 20 cents higher or 20 cents lower. I'm hoping it's not that material of a difference, right? I mean, on these riot trades, again, cherry-picked examples, but I mean, if I got in 20 cents higher than Holly did, if I got in 20 cents late on this trade, I mean, does it really matter when the thing went up and tripled your money?
Exactly. Yeah.
So sure. You'll notice here on my screen, I have a Holly hot list right here. These are actually all the names that we have in the portfolio right now. And maybe I should do a little digression here. Once these names are added to the Holly hot list, we keep them on the list until the stock has a 20% pullback from the high print that we see while holding the trade. Now, that may sound like a very wide berth. 20% swing may be very scary to some of you, and I don't disagree. Me personally, with my own personal trading, I'm not sure I would give it that much room. But we have found when looking through these charts and looking at these big momentum plays, if you want to catch those big winners, you have to be able to sit through some meaty pullbacks, some 10, some 15% pullbacks. If you want to make those 100% gains, you're going to have 20% pullbacks along the way, or 15% pullbacks at least. So we give them a wide berth, but really the key to that, if that scares you, it all comes down to position sizing. I always recommend to everybody, know what your stop loss is going in, and then size your position such that if your stop loss were to get hit, that impact to your portfolio is only a percentage that you're comfortable with. For me, when it comes to swing trades, I don't want to risk more than 2% of my portfolio on any one swing trade, preferably less, 1% depending on situations. But certainly I wouldn't want to risk any more than that, because once you start getting to bigger risks, you put yourself at a higher risk of ruin, and that's a game you don't want to. Those are the gods you don't want to tempt, right, Andy?
Exactly. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, so unfortunately, I'm not seeing the names of people that are asking questions, but someone here asked, can you share the Holly hot list? I do share it. In fact, maybe I could put it here in the chat. Right now, the way we do it is I maintain a personal blog, and that's where we're keeping all of the, I do a blog post for every trade entry that we do. And again, we do about 2 trade entries a week, and I'll do a short little blog post about each trade. And in those blog posts, I will include an update. It's got a spreadsheet of all the open trades, shows what the open P&L is on those trades and where our stop loss is. So I am going to type in the web address here in the chat window. Sure, let's see, chicagoseantrades.com is the address, / well, if you know what, you caught me off guard here. Let me pull it up. I'm just going to look up on the other side. I should have had this ready. Just going to my other computer here to find out what the exact address is for the Holly hot list. Okay, it is chicagoseantrades.com / category, and I'm typing this in the chat so everybody can find it there. Holly hot list. There you go. It is now in the in there. And if you guys follow me on Twitter, I'm Chicago Sean on Twitter. I always tweet about these trades. You can find them in there. If you cycle through my Twitter history, you'll see every trade that we got into mentioned. And again, those blog posts will always have portfolio updates that will show you how the portfolio is performing. Okay.
All right. Good stuff. Very good stuff.
Sean, Andy, besides a limit order, what other type of broker orders do you use for swing trading? Well, that's a question that I really don't think I can answer for you. It's really kind of what's your comfort level. I prefer typically to just with normal trading, I prefer to enter with limit orders. I don't like putting market orders in. But specifically, if we're talking about the Holly hot list, as I mentioned before, I always enter the trades at the open the next day. At that case, I'm just doing a market order at the open. I'm trying to get that opening print, and a market order will get you the opening print 99 times out of 100, I think. You could tell me if I'm wrong, Andy, but that's been my experience.
Yep, exactly.
Let's see. Sean, how long have you been doing the Holly hot list? David S. We started the Holly hot list in December, so the first trade on the list was in December. And that stock was SGMO, I believe was the first ticker we did. And I'll show you, we'll kind of go back in time here. Yep, here we go. There's the arrow. That was the first trade of the Holly hot list. We got it right there. We had a good ride on this one. We bought right there on this day. I believe that was December 1st. And we rode it up. We had a good ride. And we ended up getting stopped out during this sell-off, but we still escaped with the profits if you held all the way to the bitter end. Yeah. And by the way, so these I'll quickly go through our open positions. We're starting to run out of time here, but you see I got a top list right here. These are all the open positions. I have them currently sorted. I'm sorting them by change over the last 5 days. A lot of these names took some good hits today. I noticed as I was cycling through earlier. This HFC has been a monster for us. We got in this trade back in early April, and as you could see, we have not taken any heat on this thing at all. And in fact, we got in right here, and you can see this blue line is where our stop loss is now. So we're already locking in some profits on this trade whenever our stop loss does get hit. But we raise that stop every time it makes a new high. So let's see. HFC has been a big winner for us. GDS has also been a big winner recently, but that's an ugly candle with a lot of volume. That's a red flag. Ouch. I don't like that. Yeah, but luckily we got some room on that, so hopefully it has time to repair itself. Ali, AOLLI is another trade we got in somewhere in this area here. Took some heat right off the bat, but has since recovered very nicely. Again, another ugly red candle. A lot of red flags up here in these Holly names. That's for sure.
I'm seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a name that has been a bit of a laggard for us. It's coming back in the last couple of weeks, but definitely been a laggard for us. NCLH, NBIX, nice run over the last couple of weeks. Very good. I'm trying to think what are some other notable ones. HAE has been good. Yes, this one's been good. We got in right over here. Another great run. You see, I mean, of course, I'm showing you the best ones, but these trades. One of the stats that we keep with all the Holly trades, Holly hot list trades, we've done so far, I want to say approximately 40 trades, give or take, maybe 45. And one of the stats that we track is what I call available alpha, meaning the most money you could have made in the trade had you got in when we got in and you top ticked and got out the top print. Of course, we don't expect that you got the top print. Nobody's going to do that. Certainly not consistently. But I do find that it's a valuable measure to keep track of, what's the maximum available profits made, because the higher that number is, the more likely you were to have had opportunity to maybe trade around the position, maybe take some profits. Everybody manages trades differently. But right now, of all 45-ish trades that we've done, the average alpha that was available in every one of those trades right now is just around 15%. That's a pretty solid number, and I'm certainly not saying that to brag, but it just goes to show that these trades give you opportunities to make money. Now, we have certainly had our share of glorious busts, trades that just went straight down from the moment we got in. In fact, let me, what was that one that we had that just, I mean, literally the day we bought it, I think we top ticked it. We bought the very high print. I think it was ZGNX. Let me pull up that chart. Oh yeah, this one was a beauty. I think we bought right here, literally this high green candle, and it actually might have been this red one. Yeah, I believe it was right here. Yep, March 8th. I'm looking at on my other computer where I see my spreadsheet. We literally bought this print right here, the opening print, and it did nothing but go straight down. we took the full 20% lump on that one. That sucked. That's not what you hope to have. But anyway, on average of all the trades we've done, there's been as much as 15% open profit in every one of these trades on average. So pretty cool. And nice. David, you're asking what's our average hold time? Right now, our average hold time has been about 42 days, 45 days actually. I'm looking at it right now, 45 days.
So these are definitely longer term swing trades, guys.
Yeah. Just a side question here is asking any special reason why my chart has a black background. He's probably talking about this SPY chart. No special reason. I just like to keep this black because that's a static chart, whereas when I'm clicking around, you'll notice that these other charts on the left, the white ones, they change with the ticker I'm looking at. The black chart is just a daily SPY chart, and it's going to change. So it just helps me know it's different. That's it. Nothing special. Well, Andy, we're running out of time here.
Yeah, let me take back over, and we'll bring Scott in. Let me steal it from you there.
All right.
All right, Scott, you want to just come in here and walk us out?
Yeah, thank you. A couple items on the way out, just to make sure you all are subscribed to our podcast. It's very easy to find. Search for Trade Ideas Podcast in whatever app you use to listen to podcasts in, and add us as a subscription. New episode last Friday, so you can go ahead and download that and prepare for this Friday's episode. We've also got an ebook out. It's very timely for the markets, what's going on right now. Both Sean and Andy participated in writing it. You can go to the next slide and go to trade-ideas.com/ebook, plug in your email address, and you'll get the download directly to your email. It's very valuable to have. 5 strategies for today's market. There's a code that's good this month, and you're going to want to use it before the end of next week. Mayflowers gives you 15% off your first month or year of Trade Ideas. Members who want to upgrade to premium can also use this to upgrade. Just go to our homepage, tradeideas.com, click on the login in the upper right, and in your account management section after you log in there, click on change your subscription. And on that screen, you can plug in Mayflowers, all caps, and get that 15% off your first installment on premium. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. We'll have a recording up later on tonight or tomorrow morning, and you'll get an email reminder when the recording is up about how to find it. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Andy.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. I'll see you Thursday.
Yep. Any questions, shoot us an email to info@trade-ideas.com. Follow us on social. Go to facebook.com/tradeideiaspro and share everything we post with your friends. Thanks all. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.